Paint protection film. Everyone's talking about it, but what is it and why should you get it for your car? Ooh, good shot. What is paint protection film? Well, simply it is plastic. It is a plastic film that is installed onto the paintwork of your vehicle to really help prevent stone chips, scratches, grazes, and just stuff getting inflicted on your paintwork. It is there as the ultimate sacrificial layer for your car. There's nothing worse than getting your car obliterated with stone chips, like dents, bad scratches if someone keys your car. And paint protection film is created so that it will be the sacrificial layer on your paintwork to prevent those things from happening. Now, it's not going to stop every stone chip, that's for sure, but it's going to stop at least 90% of stones chipping the paintwork on your vehicle. Because at the end of the day, after 5 years or 2 years, or depending on how you treat your car and how you drive your car, you're going to get a lot of stone chips on your car, especially on modern day paintworks. And PPF, also known as paint protection film, is the best way to protect your paintwork. It is far more robust and durable than paintwork itself. So we're going to explain to you in this video why you should get it and what's the actual process of installing paint protection film on your car, because you can see it on Instagram, you can see it on YouTube. It is not as easy as it looks. Most paint protection films are also what we call self-healing. So what happens is when they get exposed to high temperatures, they can have scratches on the film and they can literally disappear. As the film heats up and shrinks, the scratches can disappear in front of your eyes. So we can show people this with a heat gun, showing how film can be damaged, and it's amazing at how much paint protection film can handle. So, how is paint protection film installed and what is the process? So first of all, when you're going to install PPF onto a car, the preparation is critical. We cannot install paint protection film successfully without having all sorts of issues. If the car has had just a quick wash and has been rushed, you've got to make sure the process is not rushed at all. So whenever we're doing paint protection film on a car, we make sure the car is vigorously and super thoroughly washed. So we make sure we snow foam it, we wash the car by hand, we use detail brushes to get into all the little nooks and crevices and all the panel openings underneath the doors, in the door jambs, inside the boot lid or the trunk. We got to make sure that all those areas are just like relieved of any dust and debris, because that dust will get under the film when we're trying to install it and is nothing but a pain. So we make sure that we clay bar and decontaminate the paintwork as well to really ensure that paintwork is smooth and has no contamination on it. So once the car's all thoroughly washed and rinsed out and everything like that, it's really important to do a light machine polish as minimum, because your car's going to have some degree of marring, probably a little bit of hazing and swirls. And the beauty of PPF, it actually hides a lot of that, which is really, really awesome. But as detailers, we don't like to leave that up to chance. We want to make sure that we can get the paintwork looking as best as it should, because from the way we see it, we want to see that paintwork looking amazing from the beginning, get as much gloss out of it, remove as many swirls and defects as possible, so that when we're putting the film on, we know what to expect the paintwork to look like when it's all done and dusted. So we want to make sure that it's all machine polished. We've got to make sure that we spray the whole car down, clean out all the door jambs, clean out everything after we've polished it again. And so once all the polishing and cleaning processes are completed, we then bring it into our clean room here, our separate shop, so that this is only where paint protection film, ceramic coatings, and window tinting happens. And sometimes we do some very light machine polishing, like on this grey Tesla behind me. But this is where the clean stuff happens. No vacuuming, no heavy dust causing services, and it's all done here in this room. And this is when we start prepping for the paint protection film. So that's how we get the car ready for paint protection film application. But now it's time to actually talk about how the film itself gets prepared for the vehicle that we're working on. So paint protection film comes on a massive roll. It's 60 inches wide by 15 meters long. And we don't just cut out random pieces and put it on a panel and somehow wrap it and make sense of it all. What we actually use is we use a very sophisticated software that we hire, that we pay for, and it has a huge database of nearly every car in the world on it. And in this database contains templates for each panel of vehicles so that we can create these amazingly accurate templates that are for like a Tesla Model 3, where it will be extremely accurate, where it'll wrap all the edges, it'll wrap around the indicators, it'll fold around certain areas, and the pieces are just so accurate to a micromillimeter, because someone around the world has 3D scanned the vehicle. So we use this software called Core, and we can then customize the template for the car that we're doing to suit the customer's needs, their expectations. We can delete emblems so that we can physically remove them and then put the emblems on top. We can extend edges so when we're wrapping edges, we can get better coverage underneath. And we can stretch panels and just do all these different things, which is an amazing service to have for the vehicles we do. It can make it easier for us, but it also allows to have a much better result for the customer. So once we have finally figured out the template we're going to use, if we've customized it and everything like that on the software, now it's time to actually cut out these accurate pieces. So what we need to do is we need to utilize a plotter. So here at Clean Getaway Car Detailing, we have a Graphtec FC9000. It's a brand new plotter. It's pretty much the best of the best you can get. And so this really amazing machine, what it does is we put the roll of film on there, and then we connect the computer to this plotter, and what it's going to do is going to feed the film through, and it's going to score the film and pretty much insert the template that we have for this vehicle. So it's going to score the film so that we'll then be able to have these templates literally in the film, and then we can put these pieces onto the car that we're wrapping. So the plotter is going to score all the film for us, and then we need to bring it back out here into the workshop, and it's called weeding. We got to weed out all the excess film because you can't utilize all the film surface. So then we need to really safely pull up the film, weed out all the excess that we're not going to use. And sometimes this can take us hours to do, because you could tear into a door or you could tear into a bonnet, and once you tear into a panel, then that's it, game over. You need to reprint that panel again. So we really want to avoid that. So when we weed out all the film, we then want to cut up all the pieces so we have them all organized, all ready to go to be installed. And then we are now ready to finally get ready to put them on the actual car. So now you're probably wondering, how do you actually put it on the car? So that's a really good question. So paint protection film is very sophisticated. It's not something that you can just watch one YouTube video and then do it yourself. There's just so many elements required. It's very much a mental battle to be doing paint protection film. And so installing PPF can be done multiple ways. So firstly, you need a slip solution. You need like a lubricant, okay? And you can use soapy water, different types of detergents. You can use gel, and then you need a tacking solution. You need something that's going to help hold the film down in times that you need. So the whole process of doing paint protection film is we need to manipulate the film. We have to stretch it. We got to heat it up. We need to shrink it, but doing all these different things to wrap around curved, round panels, sharp edges. But at the same time, we need to get the best finish possible. And I don't know if you've ever tried laminating a school book for your kids or maybe for yourself. It's quite difficult, and that's a dry application. And with paint protection film, we're trying to keep out air, we're trying to keep out dust and debris. We want to get the best looking protection, because you don't want to pick your car up and there's hair under it, there's dust and dirt and things like that. You want to make sure that it's looking as best as it possibly can, just like the factory finish. So there's multiple ways to install it, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the car looks its best, which leads me to explaining what would the car look like when it's got paint protection film? Now, you've probably seen a car with PPF, and there are some shocking jobs out there, and there are jobs that serve a purpose where the PPF is literally installed just to help stop stone chips, and that's it. It's not for aesthetics. It's not to look like amazing. It's there to serve a purpose of protection. And there's a time and place for that. But with paint protection film, we really strive to wrap as many edges as possible whilst providing like really good protection, but it's a balance of durability and invisibility. There's definitely a balance. You can't have all one and not the other, or else there will be disappointment somewhere down the line. So some panels you can wrap most edges on, but there's some that you shouldn't, and some that you physically can't. So some panels and some front bars, like on the Tesla behind me, there will be 2 pieces of PPF on this Tesla because you need 2 pieces to do the very bottom lip. And so, you know, paint protection film is one of those things that when it's your car and you know your car well, you will most likely see the PPF. You'll see some edges, you'll see some lines, and because it's your car, you know it. It's you love your car and it's yours. But when someone else is to really look over it, they probably won't have any idea. They probably won't be able to see it because they're not looking for it. But at the same time, we don't want it to be completely obvious. We want to make it as hidden, as difficult to see as possible, because there's nothing worse than seeing big dust lines and edges of film on your car. But in saying that, at Clean Getaway, we really try to make it look as best as possible by removing badges and then laying down the film underneath and putting the badges back on, by tucking the film, by extending the edges like I was mentioning before, because we want to make sure it just looks amazing, and also covering those, like wrapping those edges really allows for the best protection, especially if it's on doors when they open up, or on a boot, or even on some bonnets as well. So here at Clean Getaway, we're all about letting our customers know this is what it's going to do, and this is what it's not going to do. This is what you're going to see, and this is what you won't see, because the last thing you want is to pick your car up and be like, hey, that shouldn't be there. Why am I seeing that? And you got to be informed about that, which I just want to conclude with this. With paint protection film, it is awesome for protection. It is the best way to protect your car. But on the flip side of that, if you do not want to see any lines, or you don't want to see any edges of the PPF, and you strictly just want to see the car and nothing else, then maybe it's not the best thing for you. But I always ask the customer, what would you rather see? An edge of a film on your car, like a dust line or something like that? Or would you want to see like stone chips, primer, things like that? You know, what's best, because it's going to cost a lot more to remove the film and then have it resprayed because of the stone chips. So in conclusion, should you get paint protection film for your car? Well, the answer is determined by your situation of what you want to see for your car, what your expectations are, and your budget as well. So if you are happy to see stone chips and you just want to have a shiny car, then hey, get a ceramic coating. Like, that would be the perfect option for you. But if you really want to prevent stone chips, help prevent dents, scratches, all those things, and you don't mind seeing maybe perhaps like an edge of a film or something like that, then paint protection film is for you, because it's going to save your paintwork from needing to get resprayed. Not every time, but a lot of the times, especially after 5 years or 10 years, you can pull off that paint protection film, and I guarantee you that 90% of all those chips and the road rash and everything like that will be in the paint protection film alone, not the actual paintwork. So you really just got to ask yourself, what do you want to see and what do you prefer to have on your car? So you can't always make it look invisible, and it's definitely a balance between invisibility and durability. And that's why it's so important for us as the installer to really communicate well to you, to tell you this is what you're going to see, this is what you're not going to see, and this is what you should expect, and to be really just honest and upfront. So paint protection film can cost anywhere, depending on what you're getting done and what car you have as well. But it could be from just a partial front end, like a front bar and a bonnet, maybe around $1,500, to doing a full car, which could cost maybe up to $7,000. So it really just depends on what your expectations are and what the car is and the circumstances. And it can take 2 days to a full week for 2 guys to do it. Like it's very time consuming and it takes a lot to get the job done. So I hope this video has been great value. I highly recommend paint protection film if you have a car that you absolutely love and you really want to preserve that factory finish. That is why you should get paint protection film. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to chat to you, and we can even show you some of the work that we've done here on our own cars and the cars that we're currently working on. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.